So digital SAT BlueBook Test number 6, Module 1, Reading and Writing. So let's start. Question number 1. So in these sorts of vocab questions, I always read the passage first and I will try to come up with a word and then go to the questions, to the answer choices. So let's start reading the passage. Whether she's creating small paintings and illustrations or large public artworks, such as, I'm not going to bother myself reading those names, so it's a count out of traditional Mexican dance in the airport. She is direct experience drawing from memories of her childhood in Texas or details of her current surroundings in California. So I'm thinking that the here we have to complete the sentence with a word that is a little similar to drawing from memories. So let's go to the answer choices. Complimented by, there's nothing about complimenting. So A is wrong. Uncertain about, are they saying that she's doubtful about something? No, right? B is wrong. C, unbothered by, nothing about being bothered or sad. Inspired by, exactly, like drawing from her memories. Like she is inspired by her direct experience. So it's definitely a correct answer choice. Let's move on to question number 2. Disproving. So that's important because like I always look for words that like emphasize contrast or cause and effect. Disproving the common misconception of native art as the painters whose work appears in the collection at the National Museum of the American Indian employ a range of styles. There are artists working in the traditional arts of their specific tribal communities, artists working in European modernist. Okay. Blending various traditions into something wholly new. So I guess we need a word that says not having a range of styles, because here, first it's something like disproving. So this is something negative, and for example, this is range. So for us to have positive, we need another negative, which is going to be a contrast of a range of styles. So we want something like same in this blank. Okay, uncontroversial, nothing about being controversial here. We want the synonym for same. Individualistic, not really, because no. C, theoretical, nothing about theory. Homogeneous, exactly. Homogeneous means same kind of stuff. Yeah, you have homogeneous a lot on the SAT, so I highly recommend you to know this word. Question number 3. Recent measurements of the mass of this particle were notable not only for the mere fact that the particle's mass differed from expectations, so that's interesting, it's different from expectations, but for the something of that difference. So we have a colon here. I mean, it's really key to finding the correct word here. The measured mass of it was 7 standard deviations higher. Okay, interesting. Than predicted by the standard model of particle physics. So it's something related to being higher. Yeah, it's related to being higher. So let's go to the answer choices. Cause? No. Cause is not something related to being higher. Existence? No. Implication? No, it doesn't make sense here. Scale? Yes. Scale and higher are very related words. Yeah. So question number 4. Birds sing to communicate over potentially great distances. For this reason, many researchers believe that birds in densely vegetated habitats generally sing at lower frequencies. So they sing at low frequencies than birds living in comparably sparse habitats. Since dense vegetation tends to, I guess we need a verb here, the distance that high frequency sounds can travel. So it's saying that birds sing at low frequencies, and in the second part, it's saying here high frequency. So we need something that says that is a negative because if these two negatives will equal a positive, which is low frequencies, right? Maybe something just proves or uh, limits or something related to that. Exceed, no, it's actually the opposite of what we wanted. Diminish, yes, it's a negative word and it fits because if it diminishes that distance of high frequency sounds, then that means there will be low frequency sounds, yes. B is correct. Encompass, no, it doesn't make sense here. Conceal means hide, so no, it doesn't make sense. So question number 5. In these kinds of questions, I always look at the question first. It's asking for the main purpose, and then I go to the passage, and then I go to the answers. So passage. So the following text is from A Now Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Francie, a young girl, visits the library often. Francie thought that all the books in the world were in that library, and she had a plan about reading all the books in the world. She was reading a book a day in alphabetical order and not skipping the dry ones. She remembered that the first author had been Ovid. She had been reading a book a day for a long time now, and she was still in the bees. Okay, interesting. Already she had read about bees and buffaloes, Bermuda vacations, and Byzantine architecture. For all her enthusiasm, she had to admit that some of the bees had been hard going, but Francie was a reader. So this passage is about her being a reader. I guess the purpose of this passage is to tell that she loves reading, right? So let's go to the answer choices. To illustrate her enjoyment, yes, we do have enjoyment of an unusual topic. No, we don't have an unusual topic, so A is incorrect. To explain why Francie prefers reading over other activities, do we have other activities in the passage? No, so B is wrong. To portray Francie's determination to meet a goal. I guess, yeah. She has a determination and she also has a goal, which is mentioned here. She has a plan about reading all the books in the world. So this is a plan. I guess C might be correct, but let's still, I will read choice D to describe a book that Francie greatly admires. It's not a main purpose. So C is the correct answer. So which choice best describes the function of the underlined portion? Okay, let's read the passage. The people of medieval Europe have traditionally been seen as uninterested in cleanliness and hygiene, but modern research, so here we have a contrast word, but modern research has shown that this is largely a myth. According to historian, most medieval towns in Europe had at least one public bathhouse, which often offered both full immersion baths and more affordably steam baths. While such amenities were available mainly to town dwellers, okay, regular bathing in rivers and streams or daily sponge baths at home were common practices. So the underlying portion uh, is saying that not everybody had access to it. I guess not really sure. Like this is my guess. So let's look at the answer choices. It asserts that in medieval Europe, steam baths were more popular in rural areas than in urban ones. There's no contrast of urban and rural areas of That's being popular. It describes the limitation of earlier researchers' studies of medieval. No, there's no limitation of the study. So B is wrong. We are just asking for the purpose of this only underlined portion. It can it concedes that not all people in medieval Europe had access to public bathhouse. Exactly. Like this is the exact same thing that I said a minute ago. It explains why Janega decided to study the popularity. No, it's not about the reason why she decided to study that. Okay, so C is correct. So question number 7. Again, the main purpose of the text. When a classical pianist performs, it appears as if the music is coming to her spontaneously. She's highly skilled technically, but here we have a contrast word. Because of how freely she plays and her willingness to take risks, she seems relaxed and natural. Although she's very skilled, like technically, she kind of feel like many people think that she is very natural. Her apparent ease, however, is due to a tremendous amount of preparation. Why? Because she does prepare a ton. Like she does a tremendous amount of preparation. Tremendous means a lot of. Despite her experience and virtuosity, she never takes for granted that she knows a piece of music. Instead, she approaches the music as if encountering it for the first time and tries to understand it anew. Okay, so the main purpose would be to argue that although she's very skilled, she still does that meant so much preparation, but it feels like she's relaxed and it feels like she's encountering it for the first time, although it's not. Choice A, to provide details about how she identifies which types of music she will perform. No, that it's not about which types, like which pieces of music she's going to perform, and it's not the main purpose. To assert that her performances look effortless because of how she prepares for them. I guess that's the correct answer, but I'm 100% sure. Like, why? Because her performance look effortless means she seems relaxed and natural. Uh, because of how she prepares for them, she prepares like tremendously. So like, it seems the right answer. So I guess it's B, but still I'm gonna read other choices to discuss the kinds of music she feels most comfortable encountering for the first time. No, it's not about the kinds of music she feels most comfortable. To describe the unique way that she approaches music she hasn't performed before. No, she performs music before. So this is incorrect, and it's not the unique way, I guess. So B is correct. Choice, question number 8, sorry. Based on the text, how would the author of text 2 would most likely respond to text 1? Okay, I'm gonna read both texts. And firstly, I usually agree on whether it's agreeing or disagreeing, and then just go to the answer choices and filter it out. So, an excavation has appended the belief that approximately 13,000 years ago, a group named the Clovis people were the first human inhabitants of North America. Okay, so it's so we think that Clovis people were the first people in North America. More than 200 crude stone tools were found embedded near in a layer of earth that is up to 33,000 years old, revealing that humans occupied the cave thousands of years before Clovis people reached the continent. So text 1 is saying that uh, Clovis people were not the first people. Instead, like other humans occupied the cave. Okay, so text 2, the object uncovered in that cape are intriguing, but so here we have a contrast word but it's premature to characterize them as tools. And it's telling that it's not actually tools, because in the first text they said, uh, like Chloe's people were not the first because stone tools were like existed 33,000 years ago. So in text two, they're saying it's not actually tools. The stone pieces are so roughly shaped that they may have simply fractured from rocks during natural geological activity in the cave. Moreover, the unearthing has thus far been not occupied by discoveries of other signs of human activity or even traces of human DNA from surfaces. So I guess like they're disagreeing. So it's a first point. So text two disagrees with text one. So it disagrees. Why? Because it thinks that they're not stone tools. Okay. By suggesting that it draws a plausible connection between two groups of people, but will need to be confirmed with further study. Choice A is kind of telling that they agree because, like, saying it's plausible means they agree, right? And it's just saying that there has to be further study. So no, it doesn't agree at all. By asserting that it rests on an assumption about stone tools that is in not sufficiently supported by available evidence. Yeah, this is kind of disagreeing, which is what I want. Because it's telling that those stone pieces are not sufficiently supported. Yes. So I guess correct answer is B. So because it's disagreeing. So let's have a look at the other answer choices. By acknowledging that it will most likely be proved correct when the stone pieces undergo more detailed analysis, it's kind of saying that it's correct, but no, it's incorrect, right? So C is wrong. D, by pointing out that it fails to account for evidence that Columbus people were active on the continent as early as is commonly thought. I mean, here we have like Clovis people. Do we care? Like, there's no contrast about Clovis people here, whether they were active or not. It's more about tools, those stone pieces or like stone tools. So this is wrong because it's talking about Clovis people, which we don't want, right? So let's move on to question number 9, the main idea of the text. So let's go to the passage and read it. Many theorists distinguish between fabula, a narrative's content, and success. Okay, a narrative's arrangement and presentation of events in the film. It's the story of the family, and that one is the presentation of the story as it alternates between two timelines in 1901 and 1958. But theorists maintain it that those two are insufficient to completely describe a narrative. He held that systematic categorizations of artistic phenomena discounts the subtle way in which meaning is created by interactions between the work, and the audience. So it's saying that both of these are insufficient to like kind of define or like describe that narrative. So let's have a look at the answer choices. Theorists argue that there are important characteristics of the narrative that are not fully encompassed by two concepts. Yes, we have those two concepts, and they're not fully encompassed, meaning they're not sufficient to describe a narrative that other theorists have used to analyze the narrative. Yes, I guess this might be the correct answer choice, but so let's have a look at the other answer choices. Theorist claims that meaning is not incoherent in a narrative, but is created when an audience encounters a narrative so that narratives are interpreted differently by different people. I mean, it's telling that in not incoherent, inherent means like inherent, right? So we don't really care whether it's interpreted differently by different people. So it's not the main idea. The storing methods used may seem unusually complicated. Is it saying that it's complicated? No, he's wrong. Narratives that are told out of chronological order are more difficult for audiences to understand than are narratives presented chronologically. Chronological order is like a order, so if it's out of order, they're more difficult to understand. Is the passage about that? No. We want the main idea. So the correct answer choice is A. Let's move on to question number 10. So it's a text completion. Uh-huh. So the passage of time is among the many obstacles faced by scientists who are pursuing the extinction efforts. That is, efforts to use breeding or a mixture of cloning and genetic engineering to bring back extinct species. Specifically, researchers are concerned that the longer a species has been extinct, the less likely a suitable habitat still exists. So if a species has been around for very long time, that means that it doesn't really have a suitable habitat. Habitat is like a place where they live. Among candidate species for the extinction, this problem would be especially concerning for each of those. I mean, let's have a look at the answer choices. There is a kind of a strategy that I use to filter out those answer choices. Firstly, when I go to the choice, I look whether it's literally logically complete, and second, whether it's true or false. So, A, passenger pigeon, which became extinct only a few years after. I mean, it doesn't really support that because we want something that says longer species. So A is incorrect because it's definitely not logically completing. Sabit's chooses cat, which became extinct 11,000 years ago. Let's have a look. Yes, it's correct, and it's also logically completing the sentence. So let's move on to see this one, which became extinct several thousand years before. Save it. No, because it's false. Literally, it's false. Why? Because this one cannot be older than this one. So she's wrong. Caribbean monk seal, which became extinct in 1952. Let's have a look. It's not even like logically completing. So B is correct. Let's move on to question number 11. So it's a quotation question, okay? In the story, the narrator expresses mixed feelings about her surroundings. So we want both something good and bad. I mean, we have to have both of those feelings, good and bad. So let's have a look at the answer choices. This wallpaper has a kind of sub pattern in a different shade, a particularly irritating one for you can only see it in certain lights and not clearly then. I mean, it's saying that it's irritating one, like that sort of a shade, but there's nothing good. There are no good feelings here. So B, by moonlight, the moon shines in all nights when there is a moon. I wouldn't know it was the same paper. I'm not sure whether we have those both good and bad feelings. So B is wrong. I'm really getting quite fond of the big room. Okay, this is something that is kind of good feeling, which is being fond of the big room. Like being fond of the good room means liking that big room. Oh, but that's horrid. Horrid is like a bad feeling. Wallpaper. Yeah, I guess the correct answer choice is C because it has both good and bad feelings. The color is repellent, almost revolting, smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow turning sunlight. I mean, we have only bad feelings here, so this is wrong. So question number 12. Okay. The only flowering plant species native to Antarctica grow in places where the Earth remains free of ice for much of the year. Botanists wondered how the warming of Antarctica's climate in recent years had affected the species, so she visited a site in Antarctica, first in 2009, later in 2018, to count the number of plants growing there. Canada found that the area of land covered by two species had significantly expanded. Okay, significantly expanded during the 9 year period. Yes, like here we have like percent increases that are positive during the 9 year period, while both likely benefited from those warming temperatures. This one, mhm. Okay, so I guess we need something that says this one benefited more than this because of like here we have an increase of 28, but here we have 55% increase. So I guess it might be. I mean, let's have a look at the answer choices. Suppresses the growth of, which covered a smaller area. I mean, no, like these Zambia, Antarctica did not have a smaller area in 2018 than it had in 29. No, it's like false. Saw a greater expansion than did, increasing the area of land it covered by more than half. Exactly, because it had a greater expansion, which is an increase of 55%, than this one did, which had an increase of 28%. Therefore, increasing the area land, right, from 6.9 to 10.7. So the correct answer is B. Still, let's have a look at the other answer choices. Showed a greater increase in the average size of individual plants. Then, no, I mean, we don't have individual plants here, right? In this graph. So it's not even given. So she's wrong. D. Covered land newly freed from ice at a rate of 55% faster than that of. No, it's actually contrasting two different things. Like 55% increase is the increase of area covered of this one. And we don't have anything but faster or slower. So D is wrong. So let's move on to question number 13. So we have to support the idea. So let's read the passage. As media consumption has become increasingly multi platform and socially mediated, active news acquisition has diminished in favor of an attitude known as News Find Me, NFM, in which people passively rely on their social networks and ambient media environments for information about current events. So it says that people are relying on their internet, like social media, like NFM, to know about like events, current news. So these people examine data on a representative group of adults in the United States to determine participants' strength of NFM attitude, political knowledge, and political interest. Although no major election took place sufficiently near the study for them to identify causality between NFM and voting behavior, they did posit means like hypothesize or like suggest, that NFM may reduce So NFM may reduce voting probability through an indirect effect. So um, like NFM will definitely affect voting probability and it will reduce voting probability, but there is something in between. Like we don't really know that, and like the correct answer choice has to mention that, I guess. Um, so yeah, but still, the most important thing is NFM has an effect which is reducing voting probability. That's through indirect effect. So let's go to the answer choices. NFM attitude tends to increase in strength as major elections approach, and people are significantly more likely to vote in major elections than in minor elections. There's nothing about minor elections, so like A is incorrect. NFM attitude has a strong negative effect on political knowledge and interest, and there is known to be a strong correlation, positive correlation between political knowledge and interest and the likelihood of voting. So this choice tells that NFM has an effect, like a negative effect on political knowledge and interest, and there is a strong positive correlation between political knowledge and interest and the likelihood of voting. So NFM has an effect on political knowledge and interest, and political knowledge of interest has an effect on voting, which is exactly what we wanted. So I will literally choose B in this case if I had this question in the real exam, but still, let's have a look at the other answer choices. C. Political interest is known to have a strong positive effect on likelihood of voting, but shows only a weak positive effect on political knowledge, and NFM attitudes shows little correlations with either political knowledge or political interest. It's definitely like contradicting. Why? Because it's saying that there is little correlation between NFM and either political knowledge or interest. But what we want is like NFM has an effect on those two. Right? So she's wrong. It's like false, right? The second, I don't really like the second part. So D, the likelihood of voting increases as political knowledge increases, and the relationship between them tends to strengthen as the size of people's social networks increases. I mean, I don't care about the size of those networks, so D is wrong. Let's continue. Logically complete the text. Okay. In dialects of English spoken in Scotland, the R sound is strongly emphasized when it appears at the end of the syllables, as in car. So it's strongly emphasized if it is used at the end of the syllables, or before other consonant sounds such as bird. English dialects of the upland South, a region stretching from Oklahoma to Western Virginia, place similar emphasis. So even at that place, there is a similar emphasis on R at the end of syllables and before other consonant sounds. Historical records show that the upland South was colonized largely by people whose ancestors came from Scotland. Interesting. Thus, linguists have concluded that I guess it might have came from Scotland, I guess, to English and those parts of like upland South. Let's have a look at the answer choice. So the English dialect spoken in the upland South acquired their emphasis on the R sound from Scotland. Yes. Why? Because like upland South was colonized by people whose ancestors came from Scotland. That means they acquired it from Scotland, right? So A is correct here. So let's have a look at the other answer choices. B. Emphasis on the R sound will eventually spread from English dialects spoken in the upland South to dialects spoken elsewhere. Uh, we don't want elsewhere here, right? There's nothing about elsewhere in the passage, so B is wrong. See, the English dialects spoken in Scotland were influenced by dialects spoken in the upland south. There is no Scotland, like dialects in Scotland were not influenced by dialects in the upland south. It's actually the opposite. So she's wrong. It's literally contradicting. People from Scotland abandoned their emphasis on the R sound after relocating to the upland south. No. So let's move on to question number 15. This is also text completion. Okay, let's read the passage. In 2016, biological anthropologist and her team investigated the evolution of the appendix in it's an organ that is present in some mammals, including humans, but is generally thought to have no function. That's interesting, no function. Studying 533 mammal species, this team found that the appendix has emerged independently across multiple line ages in separate instances. Interesting. So it has independently emerged across multiple lineages in separate instances. That means that that sort of appendix was existed in very different times, and they were independent. There was no kind of a connection between those times or logical connection, and significantly has not disappeared after emerging in specific lineages. So it hasn't disappeared, right? Moreover, the team determined that species with the organ tend to have higher concentrations of lymphoid tissue, which supports immune responses. Okay, so they have higher LT, let's say, uh, in these organ that the appendix is attacked to. Therefore, the team hypothesized that the appendix likely, I guess, kind of had a positive effect on immunity, I guess. Yeah, what I want here is like positive effects on immunity because there are higher concentrations of LT, which therefore will lead to a positive effect in immunity. So I'm literally looking for that sort of an answer choice. So let's read the choices. A was once present in many non-mammal species. Okay. Non-mammal? I mean, we haven't talked about non-mammal species. So A is wrong. Has been preserved in certain mammal species because it benefits their immune systems. Exactly. Benefits means having a positive effect, which I told you just a minute ago, right? So, I guess that's correct. Yeah. Will emerge in a greater number of mammal species because it may serve as a necessary function in the immune system. It's saying that it's a necessary function, but it's not saying that it has a positive effect. I mean, we don't really care whether it has a function or not. So she's wrong. D. Produce higher concentrations of LT in mammals in the past than it does currently. I mean, we don't care about the comparison of time here. They're comparing past with the present, which we don't care about. So B is the correct answer choice. So let's move on. So now we have grammar questions that are easy. Okay, so this might look like just the piano, but the difference between the two instruments is easy to hear. When its keys are pressed, the strings inside the instruments are plucked, not strung. The correct answer is B. Why? Because this part is I mean, dependent, so we can literally eliminate this part when when its keys are pressed. This is independent, so we can literally eliminate it. the strings inside the instrument are plucked. Here, the strings are plucked. And here, if there is a comma here, you need to put a comma. But because we don't have a comma here, we don't even need a comma after instrument, so B is correct. So let's move on to 17. So here we have plural, 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 and singular, and I will literally choose D. But still make sure that it's correct, okay? Writing technique. Technique is singular, so creates. That's easy, right? Another grammar question. Technologies such as microphones and those printers are made using that. I guess we don't care about that part. We care only the part from here. The toxic nature of some of these materials recently led a team from the University of Sheffield to investigate how. Okay. So it starts off with some like with a sentence. So it has to end like sentence. Sentences end with a full stop. So we can literally eliminate choices that have a question mark at the end. So here, to investigate how their use could be better regulated. So B is correct. I mean, if we push this thing, we need a question mark. And because we don't need a question mark, we can literally eliminate it because it's asking a question. We don't want the question. How their use could be better regulated. See? So question number 19. Okay. Here we have like future, present, past, future. Okay. So I guess we need to read the whole passage in this case. Each night in Spain, a section in okay is bathed in a soft green glow. The source is made a lamp inside illuminates the green glass. Why B? Because it literally tells in every case like it's present here, present. So I literally need present. So the only choice that is in present tense, in like present simple, is B. So question number 20. I guess they're testing two things here. They're also testing pronouns and like apostrophes and all that stuff. There is a phrase here, right? So not two phrases. We only have a one phrase. So we can literally eliminate A because it's telling that there are two phrases. No, we have one phrase. And we can literally eliminate B because there is no apostrophe. So we have C and D here. A phrase's simplicity makes its complexity, right? Because phrase is singular, we need here singular. So D is correct. Let's move on to question number 21. Okay. Fans of the film may not know that the deep and humorous voice behind the character, Toma the crab, belongs. Yep, the correct answer is A. Because we don't need any colon, we don't need any comma. Yeah. Yep. So question number 22. Celebrated Potter, okay, made her signature all black using a heating technique called reduction firing. This technique involves smothering the flame surrounding the glass vessel. The vessel takes on a black hue. Okay, so it's saying what a technique involves, which is smothering the flame, and like because of that, the vessel takes on a shiny black hue. So here we have a cause and effect relationship. So as a result, it's the exact word that we need here. Okay, 23. In the early 1970s, Albert Papa took up graffiti art, spraying his work onto what was at the time an unconventional surface concrete. Okay. Albert's son David has chosen an unusual canvas for his new art project. So here we have kind of like a addition, I would say. A word and could fit, for example, like or moreover. Let's have a look at the answer choices now. However, there is no contrast. Indeed, there's no emphasis. We are like adding a new information. Like second, no, there's no. If there was like first in the first sentence, I literally choose C, but here we don't have it. Likewise, yes. Likewise means like more of, as I said before. Question number 24. Okay. So a successful entrepreneur during that era earned the okay after successfully challenging discrimination in the state. So she earned that the mother of human rights in California in 1866. She sued a streetcar company for denying her and other black writers service, a suit she eventually won. When the California Supreme Court declared it illegal for carriers to exclude passengers based on race. So she, in the first sentence, she said, like, it was said that she challenged discrimination in the state. And in the second sentence, it's actually explaining it. How she, it's explaining how she challenged discrimination. She's telling that she sued a company. And yeah, so we need something like for example, or like kind of transition word that emphasizes explanation or support. So let's have a look at the answer choices. For this reason, there's no cause and effect relationship. Then, no. In addition, there's no any additional information. Specifically, yeah, exactly. It just supports it. It just provides support. So question number 25, the okay uses intricately knotted string devices called these to record countable information like population data and payments. They may have used that's like devices to record more complex information like stories and myth. Uh-huh. So it's telling that in the first sentence, it was they were used to record countable information. And in the second sentence, it's saying that they will also use it for recording more complex information. There's no cause and effect relationship, so as a result would not fit. In other words, no, it's not explaining. It's just adding a new like point. Like in addition, yes, exactly, because not only they use it for countable information, but they also use it for more complex information. For example, there's no example in the second sentence. So let's move on. Question number 26. The student wants to emphasize like Amel's achievements. Okay, I'm not gonna bother myself reading the notes. But if the question is too hard, if I'm like stuck between two answer choices, I will definitely read the notes. But here, I'm not gonna read the answer choices if I'm not stuck at two choices. So, okay. By crossbreeding the important species, Amel succeeded in creating hybrids well suited to in this climate. Yeah, here we have Amel's achievements. So I guess A is the correct answer choice, but still let's have a look at the other answer choices. In the 1930s, the institute which enlisted sought to limit dependence. No, there is no achievement here. So he or she was enlisted there. No, there's nothing about his or her achievement as a part of efforts to breed a local variety of okay imported. No, there's no achievement of his or hers. Like yeah, so the correct answer is A because Amel succeeded in creating those hybrids well seeded. Okay, so the student wants to specify how the salt enables energy storage. Okay, we need the process, like how it's possible, how storing energy is possible in the salt. Scientists have developed this battery that contains. Okay, there's nothing about the process of storing energy here, so A is wrong. The stored energy, okay, which contains can be used. It's just saying how it can be used, but we want the process of storing that energy. When the salts fast assume the energy stops flowing and can be stored. Yeah, I guess that's correct because it's just literally describing the process. It's telling how the process goes on. So C is the correct answer choice. Choice D, the molten salt allows. No, it's not about the process. So if you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button.